Okay, so we are back. All right, so the last video we would have discussed comparison operators, right? So these things here were known as comparison operators, right? And let's keep all of these different operators in mind because now we will need them for creating our first conditional or selection type pseudocode, right? And remember, a selection pseudocode, or I should say a selection construct, right, is a way of programming where based on a particular condition, the program could do something, or if that condition is not met, do something else, right? So let's say we want to create a conditional pseudocode in which we output pass, right? If the score the user enters is more than 50%, otherwise outputs fail, right? If it is less than 50%, right? So the problem will be create a pseudocode that gets a score from the user, and if that score is more than or equal to 50, output pass, otherwise output fail. Okay, so the first thing we need to do, and everyone should remember this by now, is to name our algorithm. So we say algorithm, let's name our algorithm calculate score. Okay, or better yet, let's name it did I did I pass, right? Remember, the name of your algorithm cannot have any spaces. Okay, so now we need to specify our variables, right? So we put variables here, and right below that we need to specify different variables we want. So we already know we need to, based on the problem, we need to get a score from the user. So one of our variables will be score, right? Score with a capital S, right? Do we need any other variable? No, we don't, because the only thing we get from the user is score, and all we need score for is to check if it's more than 50 or if it's less than 50. All right, so we could save this score variable and have it only able to store integers. All right, so we have a score variable and it's only capable of storing integers. So now we actually need to start our pseudocode. So we say begin, and our first line, we should specify that we want to read in our score, right? So we say read score. What this basically means is that we get the input from the user and we store it inside our variable score, right, as an integer. Now, so we get fancy. There's something known as a if function, right? Or a if statement in pseudocode and in programming. And what this if statement does is based on a particular condition, it allows us to do something. So we say if score, and remember our comparison operators, we need to check if score is more than or equal to 50. So if score is more than sign, an equal sign, more than or equal to 50, then, right, so we say if score is more than or equal to 50, then we would like to print an in quotation marks pass, right? So if score is more than or equal to 50, we will print out pass. Else, right, and this is where we use else statement. And what is else statement is basically saying if score is not more than or equal to 50, If it's anything else but that, we want to print out field, right? Because if it's not more than or equal to 50, that means it has to be less than 50, all right? So we print out fail, all caps, in quotation marks. And then this is important. We also need to end our if statement by saying end if, right? So we read and score, we get the score from the user, right? We store it inside our score variable. Then we check if the score is more than or equal to 50. If this statement is true, so that means if the score is actually more than or equal to 50, we output pass. Otherwise, we will output fail. All right? That's what the else statement for. The else statement is basically saying if this condition is not met, then just print out fail. Right? And then we end our if statement. Lastly, we just say end right to end of our entire pseudocode. Okay? Let me just bring these lines a little closer together. Right. Okay. So algorithm name, did I pass? Have our variables. We only needed to get the score from the user. So we only had a variable to store that score. We named it score, and it stores integer values. When we begin our program, we read in the score that user enters. Let's say if I was running this program, I enter the value 4, right, or 52 for score. Let's say I enter that value inside a score, right, 52. Then, if score is more than or equal to 50, since 52 is more than or equal to 50, this program will output pass and then immediately end. But if I was to type in 44 for the value of score, it will check if score is more than or equal to 50. And since score is 44, it will go to the else statement and then print fail. Because this condition is not true, so therefore it will say print out whatever else is left. So we'll just print out fail, all right? Because this condition is not met, so we say otherwise, if this condition is not met, print fail, okay?